What's up, fam? Extraordinary Life with Elijah, and you're watching this video on Sunday, March 29th, 2026 at 10:50 a.m. MST. And today I am the extra, and my brother is the ordinary. Zachary, as I've said numerous times over the years in making these videos, you're such a blessing to my heart that you love with the love of Jesus. As my older brother, that you represent the love of my older brother Jesus to me in such a powerful way. And I bless you in Jesus' name. Friends, there are going to be so many dates that fly today. If I mess them up, I apologize in advance. But God and His timing, His blessings and His grace, His goodness, His generosity are so mind-bendingly good, it's hard to encapsulate, to know what do I say here on this video so that it doesn't become a 2-hour monster. Now, as you know in the videos from the past, that on August 14th, 2021, I asked my brother if he would sponsor the feast on August 17th, 2023, when I played the first and last episode of Extraordinary Life with Elijah. Now, part of that video, in playing it, that God gave me the vision and foretold what was going to happen in that moment, and that it was to be played at the end of the dinner, honoring my parents, and that the feast was the Scheidler family feast that was being paid for, being sponsored by my brother and his wife, Zachary and Jessica, but that I was directing the vision and guiding us into what God had for it. Now, all of this is flowing out of the fact that Jesus is our older brother. That from before the foundations of the world, Jesus, our older brother, was the lamb slain. That our Father had an older son and said, I dream of having a younger son. And son, I want you to serve your younger son to reveal the fullness of our glory in the earth. Will you do that? And the son, before any of us were made, said, yes, I will lay down my life to impart the fullness of our family inheritance to my younger brother. And Adam came into being. Out of the fullness of all of that, then, as contained in the family of God, family is the most powerful algorithm. That out of that heart, and I declared all of those things in my first and last video, my brother is so integral, was so integral to the expression of what God was doing in and through that final video. Now, on August 14th, 2021, I had the opportunity to talk with my brother. My first contact of him was on August 13th, 2021, on my birthday, the finish of my 40th year and all the prophetic stuff that happened through that came through my brother. I contacted him on August 13th, 2021, was able to talk with him on August 14th, 2021. And in our conversation, my brother heard my request and said, Elijah, this is a really wild request. I don't know what's the plan. Why is this so important? And in that conversation, I told him, I can't tell you. These things await an appointed time, and I can't tell you what God is doing other than to make the request and say, this is very important, and would you allow me to do this? Would you grace me with favor to pay for this on behalf of mom and dad? I remember in that conversation, he said, Elijah, if this is something that you feel like is important for mom and dad and our family, and this is on your heart, maybe you should think about sponsoring that yourself. Don't let me stand in the way. Like, if that's something you want to do, I bless you, and go do that. Now, in that conversation then, what I understood was that my brother was leaning more towards the side of saying, Bud, run with that. You take it, run with it. I bless you, but the Scheidler family feast, that's mine and Jessica's thing, and we want to retain control of that. Blessings, but no. That's what I understood in that conversation. However, ending the conversation, he said, I'll talk with Jessica about it. Now, friends, from that point on, from August 14th, 2021 to September 25th, 2022, complete radio silence or any further discussion in regards to my request. Now, merging forward, my heart wrestled through faith to remain in a surrendered place with God. It could keep believing His word, pressing into what God was doing, and to not strive, to not beg, to not coerce, and to just remain quiet and humble. I didn't have the grace or the freedom to ever bring it up with my brother after that point. He said he would bring it back up with me, and so I waited. Merging into the September then, as we went to the Scheidler Family Feast of 2022, which was held on Saturday, September 24th, 2022. I think I'm doing so good with dates so far. As we drove over from Bozeman to Billings, I stroked my chin, stared off into the distance, and had lots of windshield time praying with God. I'm going to bring this conversation up with Zachary and Jessica. I'm going to do it gently. I'm not going to coerce. I'm not going to convince. I'm not going to fudge on the things that you have told me or to remain silent. But I am going to ask them one last time, and whatever they tell me, that will be the free answer. We went through the feast day. I didn't have grace or peace to bring that up with either one of them. There's so many details in relation to the Scheidler Family Feast Day, and I didn't want one more thing resting on their hearts and minds throughout the day. We stayed with them then that night. We woke up on the morning of Sunday, September 25th, 2022. And as is our routine, the kids are in the dining room eating little omelets that my brother makes. They just think they're the best thing since sliced bread. Now I'm doing the coffee, making Chemexes for everybody. And as I am doing that, I'm staring at the weights, staring at the timer, pouring the water over the coffee, praying and asking God, how do I start this conversation? Spirit, lead me, guide me. I want to stay in your ways. I will not coerce. I will not force. I will not trick, but I am going to be honest about my heart's desires. As I'm praying those things, my sister-in-law, Jessica, is sitting in the corner in her comfy chair, big comfy blanket, cuddling a cup of coffee that I made for her, dosed up to perfection with honey and just a dribble of half and half, the way she likes it. And she says, of her own accord, out of nowhere, so Lige, Zachary and I wanted to talk to you about the feast day for Mom and Dad on August 17th, 2023. Now, confession, I absolutely ruined the Chemex. I forgot about everything. I forgot all social propriety. I was so absolutely floored. I started to cry. I'm pacing back and forth in their galley kitchen. Guys, you didn't forget, like you want to talk about this? Like this could be a possibility? Like you would want to talk about this more? And she just says very calmly, well, yeah, we want to talk about it more. We're going to do it on August 17th, just like you asked, but we just wanted your input on what are you thinking and what's your involvement with this? Guys, I was absolutely so overwhelmed that in that moment that I wanted to jump and scream and yell and shout and tell all of the news, but the prophecy, the things that God had established for August 17, 2023, awaited an appointed time. So I sat down in the chair, and after that, we had an amazing conversation that as we pressed into the vision of the why, not the what, but why, in pressing into the story of the prodigal, that the righteous telling of that story is that the older brother, Jesus, came out from the Father's house in heaven to be with us, his younger siblings, in the pig pen, to speak with us, to serve us, to nurture us, to love us, to pursue us with the heart of the Father, and then to gather us up and to carry us back to the Father. I believe in the prodigal son story that the older brother in the broken story actually went out to spy on his younger brother, to have a basis for accusing him and to validate his place of bitterness and resentment against his younger brother. But in the righteous telling of the story, the older brother leaves his rightful place in heaven, his birthright of holy righteousness, to stay with the Father in his house and literally let us go to hell of our own choosing, but instead that the older brother gets up from his rightful place and comes and serves the younger. Out of sharing that with my brother and saying, this is the vision. Zachary, Jessica, I bless you in Jesus' name for the inheritance and testimony of faith in our family that you're building as a result of throwing this feast every year, honoring our Father, showing your younger siblings what it looks like to live in a family of honor, and that you are footing the bill for us. And I love that. Glory is increasing from year to year to year as God builds this testimony of an inheritance, a legacy and faith. And for this next year, what I'm wanting to do is to join with you, see your example and say, yes, brother, I see what you're doing. Your words are abiding in me. I will abide in you, and I will produce greater works still. Will you support this vision? Now from there, that my brother and I pressed into our family line, the lineage of the Scheidler family, and that he is the older brother, that the birthright comes to him as being the oldest, firstborn son of the entire Scheidler family and the firstborn and oldest son in my immediate family. As we pressed into that he humbly, gently, and of his own free will gave me the right of moving forward in carrying the Scheidler family name. Fam, God, my Father, is redeeming bloodlines for his namesake, that out of the overflow of his heart and his longing for family, that he has written into the bedrock, the very substrate that the foundations of the earth were set in, he set an example that the older brother serves the younger. And that all throughout then time and history that we see Cain and Abel breaking that line as sin has its expression in brokenness, but that God continues to say, nope, the older will serve the younger. The older will serve the younger. And that favor comes to Jacob, who is an absolute mess. That favor comes to Abraham, who is the youngest. That favor comes to David. That all throughout Scripture, from the beginning of time with Jesus, our older brother, and Adam in the first establishment of man, that it's the older serves the younger, and that the younger produces greater glory than the older to who? The glory of our Father. Now, friends, the thing that's so beautiful and the thing that I celebrate and the thing that has been so difficult for me to sit on this video for this long is that in as much as Jacob tricked his brother Esau through trickery, deception, a lack of resting in the promises of God, and stole the birthright from his brother Esau, and that Esau despised his birthright and thought so little of it and just gave it away for a bowl of soup. That's not something that just existed in the past and is now done and over with. It still lives to this day. And the thing that I celebrate, the thing that is so glorious, the testimony in the earth that is so marvelous to the glory of my Father, is that an older brother, that my brother Zachary, of his own choosing, with the authority that was given to him by our Father, that is irreconcilably imparted, humbly and gently passed along his birthright to me to carry forward the Scheidler family name in honor of what God has done in giving me sons, and that I am the second born. My encouragement to you, the manifestation of God's grace in my life to please his heart through the exercise of my gifts to impart grace to you that you could know him more, is that my Father is merging his glory forward in the earth through family. That's why I'm so passionate to reach out for you, my fam. That the image and glory of God is being thrust into the earth through every man, woman, and child to rule and reign with him in his king dominion in the earth. And the way forward is that glory rises as it descends, that there is the righteousness of our older brother, Jesus, who laid down his life as a request from the Father, that he said, yes, Father, I will lay down my life, and that he was the lamb slain before the foundations of the earth were laid. And the very substance as holding all creation is pervaded, permeated by the substance of the reality that the older will serve the younger. Friends, the beauty of the gospel is that even though we, the younger brothers and sisters of Jesus, absolutely stepped in it, fell from glory from the Father, that we squandered the inheritance of his identity given to us, that our older brother came in the fullness of time and freely, with love, laid down his life to restore and to heal, to redeem the bloodline of mankind in the line and lineage of our Father. Friends, from the very beginning that I've said that I'm going to arise to shine, so that I will do my good works before all mankind, that they may see my good works, the good works that God predestined before the foundation of the earth for me to do, so that you can see them and glorify my Father in heaven. In this most recent example of the overflow of his grace was culminated on August 17th, 2023. But now that you're getting to hear of the testimony behind what God did, now here on Sunday, March 29th, 2026, that my prayer is that out of my perseverance, out of my faithfulness to continue forward in what God has given me to do, that in seeking to serve, to please my Father's heart through the exercise of my gifts, that it could impart grace to you to know my Father more. If you subscribe to what I am doing, then hit the button, hit it, and then get it. Hit the bell as well so you get notified with the new content. And if you love this video, you didn't just like it, then hit the thumbs down button. I pray blessings on our lives together. I love you guys lots. And I will see you in the next video, which starts now. Oh my goodness. Friends, I think one of the hardest things about what God did in the process of merging us forward to this space was experiencing the sheer mind-blowing goodness and timing and grace and redemption and glory of God and his ways, and recording them here for you, and then having to wait until 2026 to share these things with you. Yep. You sneaky dad. Hold on. Next video. Yes, Father, your ways are good. What's up, fam? Extraordinary Life with Elijah. And this week, Amy is my extra, and I am the ordinary.